Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Shakir's boxing IQ is on another level. Maybe I'm not giving him enough credit for his boxing IQ, because when it comes to him and Zepeda, I really feel that Zepeda is going to get the victory over Shakur, because I just think with the volume punching that Zepeda comes with, in addition, the power Shakur doesn't seem to have, I just think Shakur is going to be in over his head. But from talking to Coach Mays, who's Tyrell Herndon's coach, and Coach Mays has boxed for the Army, he boxed all armed forces, so that means with everyone in the military, all branches of service, he was able to make the boxing team. So, I mean, he was handling business. Then he actually coached guys on the Olympic team. Then he went over and he coached over at West Point and led them to 4 huge national championships. The bottom line is he knows what he's talking about. And he said he spent time in the Olympic Training Center and he watched Shakur Stevenson firsthand. He said he thinks Shakur Stevenson is going to beat Zepeda. But I want y'all to listen to what he had to say, because, I don't value a lot of these people's opinion who come out here talking, because most cats, they're biased. He's not biased. But listen to what he had to say, then we're going to pick up from there.
Well, 3 questions. What do you think about turning down the seat pushing for these 18 by 18 rings and making them smaller and forcing guys who are natural boxers, boxer punchers? I even call some of them boxer runners, because they'll run their ass all around the ring. But what do you think about him trying to impose the way he wants to see fighters fight instead of allowing them to do what they've been training to do since they've been little kids? That's their style. How do you feel about the smaller rings?
I mean, if you can fight in a 20 by 20 or a 24 by 24 ring, you can fight in a 18 by 18 ring. My ring in my gym is 18 by 18. There's nowhere to run. You got to know how to box. And it's still about hitting and not getting hit.
Do you think an 18 by 18 ring will affect Shakur Stevenson against Zepeda?
I don't think it will. Shakur, I've seen him come out to the Olympic Training Center and spar a couple of guys out there. And Shakur's boxing IQ is on a whole nother level. He'll find a way to make it work. I've seen Shakur be right in front of guys' face with their arms reaching, they can't hit it.
That's crazy. Now, I know Shakur is a bad boy. But when I heard the ring was 20 by 20, I said, Shakur, he has a good chance. But I felt Zepeda would just, kind of just overwhelm him. And I said, Shakur had the power to keep that beast off of him. So I figured that, at some point, maybe Zepeda would get the victory. Then it went to 18 by 18 the ring. I said, damn, they're trying to set Shakur to lose. But when I hear guys like you come out and say, well, hey, hold your horses, Hood Champion. Don't be so quick to just count Shakur out, because he is the definition of a special fighter. He's different. And you've seen that with your own eyes.
With my own eyes, I've seen him sparring heavyweights and just making them look bad. And they still can't touch him. I remember the specific.
So you heard it directly from Coach Mays, and he's qualified to give a perspective on a fighter. That being said, sounds to me like Shakur Stevenson is a boxing GOAT, but maybe we're not, at least for me, I'm going to speak for myself. I'm not seeing him as a boxing GOAT quite yet, because I still think there's more work to be done. He still has a lot of years left in boxing. And maybe it's because he doesn't have that, to me, he doesn't have the it factor. He doesn't seem to have the power that we want to see in fighters. But the truth is, Shakur Stevenson does get in the ring. He doesn't seem to get hit. He doesn't really get hit that often. So he may really have a PhD in being a boxing GOAT. But that being said, his ring IQ, it has stood out, and it does stand out. And there is some criteria that I like to look at when we're talking about boxing IQ and elite fighters and special fighters. And I'm going to tell you, when you have guys like that, they tend to be perceived as defensive geniuses. And you're talking about guys who just rarely get hit. You're talking about guys who can read punches before they're thrown. And that's kind of reminiscent of a guy like Floyd Mayweather. They see those fibers in your muscles twitch, and they know they just can anticipate what you're going to do, what punches you're going to throw, and they're already reacting before you even get your shots off. And for me, it's like we have seen Shakur do that. The one thing about Shakur Stevenson, it does seem like he's a little bit concerned about what people think about him, as far as him being devoid of power. That he lately is like he's been wanting to kind of hold his ground and exchange more, which I don't think is smart. But he seems to be going through a phase, like I talked about in other videos, like Devin Haney, where he's worried about people saying he doesn't have any power. And this is why I'm saying if he gets in that ring with Zepeda, trying to prove he has power, that's where shit can backfire on him. But the bottom line is, even if he does get hit trying to hold his ground, Shakur dictates range with surgical precision, so he may say, okay, it ain't worth it for me to try to prove that I can hurt Zepeda or that I have power too. And he may get clipped. He may even go down. And then you may see him go back and say, you know what, man, let me get back to dictating his range and go back to operating on this guy. And I just think if he does that and he can be effective, I just have a tough time seeing Zepeda become like this. But we know Shakur Stevenson has had the ability to make opponents kind of freeze up, be unsure of themselves, and as a result, reluctant to engage. You know, the punch output drastically reduces when you end up getting countered and getting hit. Now, I can tell you from experience, and anybody who's sparred, if you've been in sparring sessions and you're getting hit, you know, it comes a point where you're like, man, this person keeps hitting me. You know, I can remember sparring a guy. I was like 185. He was like 168. He was 6'3". I'm about 6 feet tall. But that man's arms were down to his damn knees. And the first time we sparred, I mean, he was touching me up. It wasn't nothing hard, but I just realized, like, MFA is hitting me. And the second time we sparred, I got the best of him. Actually, he was mad. He was like, man, you ain't gonna lie, you got me whipped my ass this time. But that first time, I couldn't hit him. And it did make me, it made me unsure about letting that goddamn that left hand go, because I fought southpaw, and I would be jab and step out to the right, and I would throw the left hand, and he would just take a subtle step back, but his arms were so long, he was just countering me. So I can only imagine a guy like Shakur, and this is, me and this guy, nothing, no pro, nothing. We're just guys who love boxing. Was doing some boxing matches around the area, and Shakur is a pro who is no joke. So I can only imagine when he's in the ring and he starts touching you up, and you just start to feel hopeless, because I've experienced that shit. The other thing about Shakur Stevenson, man, is adaptability. You see him bubble up across several weight classes. He's been able to adapt in every weight class, been able to keep winning, picking up belts. So I just think, you know, he's not a seasoned veteran, but he sure as hell boxes like a seasoned veteran. And maybe that's why I don't appreciate him. You know what I'm saying? It's like you have that saying. You ever heard of saying the wolf, the daddy wolf, was talking to the son wolf, and he was like, "Man, look at all them sheep down there." And the young wolf, the son wolf, was like, "We're gonna run down there and basically, you know, say I'm gonna go down there and have sex with, go down there and grab that one sheep and have sex with her." And the daddy wolf was like, "Nah. How about this? We just walk on down there, and then we have sex with all of them." And it could be one of those things with Shakur Stevenson where it's like, yo, instead of coming out here, foot on the gas, trying to knock everybody out, take your time and win round by round by round. Yeah, you could come out there and try to blast somebody out in the first round, but you run the risk of maybe things backfiring and you miss out on getting to the second through the 12th round because shit went wrong in that first round for you. So take your time. And that just comes with just being a seasoned pro. And Shakur definitely, with the people he associates with, the Wards, the Crawfords, and everyone in between, the people that we don't even know about. Obviously, he's picked up a lot of nuggets along the way. And as a result, you know, he displays the IQ that we've seen. But I just wonder, man, the way he was able to do against Valdez by neutralizing his power and constantly shifting angles and the tempo, I wonder if he's going to be able to do that against Zepeda. Now, I listen to people saying Zepeda has the perfect style for a guy like Shakur Stevenson. But I think Zepeda is bigger, stronger than Valdez. I think he's more of a throws more punches, and I think he hits harder. So Shakur Stevenson may be able to pull it off, but I'm going to take everything Coach May said into consideration, because when he broke it down and said what he saw, I know he's not going to BS me, okay? Because let me tell you something. When Shakur Stevenson, when he once pointed out something about Edwin De Los Santos, Edwin De Los Santos didn't realize he was fighting a one-handed opponent during the fight. You know what I'm saying? So Shakur is able to recognize when his opponent has an upper hand, but that they don't realize it. And he's able to mask that. So he's in the ring and the whole time analyzing his opponents. Because if De Los Santos would have stepped on the gas, he could have got Shakur up out of there. And that's basically what Shakur was saying, hey, because of him, I'm still here. If you want to. So Shakur Stevenson, he's like, because of De Los Santos' inability to analyze me, like I was able to analyze him as an opponent, I'm still here undefeated, multi-division world champion, and I have an opportunity to continue making top-tier fighters look ordinary. Now, I'm going to tell you, when we start talking about Shakur Stevenson being a boxing GOAT, there's a lot of people going to have an issue with that. How dare you call Shakur Stevenson a boxing GOAT? Got a PhD when it comes to boxing. Look, what do you want people to do who know boxing better than you and I, who are saying, hold your horses, let's not take it to the stupid? There's something very special about Shakur Stevenson. And they even want to come out here, and when they talk about fighters with very great boxing IQs from past eras, they'll talk about a Pernell Whitaker and say Shakur Stevenson belongs in the conversation. But again, I think because it's hard for me to want to do that, because I'm like, he's still got a lot of years left in boxing, so we don't have his portfolio, his complete portfolio yet, because there's still a lot more fights for him, and maybe at higher weight classes. But when you're talking about Shakur and Sweet Pea Whitaker, now you're talking about defensive wizards, both southpaws, making elite fighters miss by inches and counter them with surgical precision. That is what Shakur Stevenson does. Controlling distance, pace, angles, how masterful he does it. I mean, you would almost think that Shakur Stevenson just copied Pernell Whitaker's playbook. But again, Shakur could be a guy that's not really appreciated much until he's gone. There's some people saying that as far as he and Floyd Mayweather, that Shakur belongs in that conversation too. I'm gonna tell you, I got a tough time with it, putting anybody in the conversation for Floyd Mayweather. You know what I'm saying? Floyd Mayweather is the platinum standard for ring IQ in today's modern era. Floyd Mayweather is a whole nother level. That's a whole nother level of talent. But the bottom line is, Shakur has been able to make fighters miss and make them pay the way Floyd did. Yeah, Floyd had some other intangibles going on, but the bottom line is Floyd wasn't really getting hit, and Shakur's not really getting hit. You know what I'm saying? Only time Floyd got hit cleanly is when he stayed somewhere too long, got a little greedy, or tried to prove a point to the fans that y'all want excitement. And Shakur's kind of gone through that a little bit lately. But other than that, if Floyd didn't want you to hit him, you weren't going to hit him. And I think Shakur Stevenson, I think he has the ability to do that too. But he definitely moves around more than Floyd. And again, there's always an argument about Pretty Boy and Money Made. Forget that. I just think when you watch Shakur Stevenson, you can see that he's modeled part of his style after Floyd Mayweather. Then you got the Bernard Hopkins. Then, of course, Bernard was just an old school genius. You know what I mean? One around without even throwing a punch, just making people look stupid. And you got the Willie Pep. A lot of people don't even know who that is, but Willie Pep, old school genius, footwork and anticipation were decades ahead of his time. You go back and watch videos on Willie Pep, you're going to see what we're talking about. But if you start digging even deeper, boxers, combination punchers, with all the intangibles of someone who's just a boxing genius. Juan Manuel Marquez, he's one of them guys you watch in the ring. You're like, absolutely amazing fighter. Andre Ward was another one. I don't think he really gets the credit he needs, but he was another one, man. neutralize an opponent's strength and get off his his game plan. Sugar Ray Leonard, we all know, man, that guy was speed, power, flair, flamboyancy, everything you want, man. A promoter's dream. Then Roberto Duran, not just a brawler, his ring IQ. I like to watch them old sparring sessions of Roberto Duran, man. Cutting off the ring, manipulating the tempo, man. Counter punching on the inside, in between exchanges. Absolutely amazing. Then there's the Tony, the Eric Morales, the Joe Lewises, and we can go on and on. But I'll just tell you, man, Shakur Stevenson and Zepeda, I still kind of feel how I feel. But it just has me, even more eager to see Shakur and Zepeda get in the ring. Zepeda being a volume puncher, throwing over 100 punches around at times. I mean, that's a lot of pressure, but it's kind of also predictable because he's just going to be there just letting his hands go. And maybe Shakur can pick up on those patterns and exploit them. Listening to the coach, it sounds like that's exactly what Shakur Stevenson does, which would make a guy like William Zepeda tailor-made for him. Then just Shakur going to be able to control the distance and the timing, which is just going to frustrate Zepeda, who's, of course, we all know he overwhelms his opponents. But if Zepeda can't trap him, then he'll be kind of looking like Canelo against School, kind of swinging at the shadows. And then the body punches and counters. Shakur will throw that stab jab. He'll go to the body. But maybe he'll be able to be so precise that with what power he does have, that I'd say the average power with brilliant precision will be more than enough to slow down a guy like Zepeda. But anyway, man, Zepeda's not just a wild brawler. Shakur Stevenson is not just a boxer. You got guys in here who are undefeated. I think Zepeda may be a bit more durable, but Shakur has proven he hasn't had to prove that he's durable because you just can't really catch up to him like that. But I just think it makes for a classic, like Shakur's the brains and Zepeda's the bullets. You know what I'm saying? Brains versus bullets is what this shit boils down to. But anyway, let's see what happens. Shakur's one of the sharpest in the game. And I like what Coach said because I know a lot of people agree with him. Anyway, we'll find out when they get in the ring in July, won't we? 18 by 18 ring? Coach said it doesn't matter. We're going to find out. Y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans, all 7 continents. In the breeze.